fear. One of the most primitive emotions left over from the dawn of the human race. But we no longer have to fear woolly mammoths or saber-toothed tigers. So in the modern world, what are we so afraid of? The statistics on anxiety and various phobia-related words are rising exponentially. But in the Western world, our lives have never been better. So what's going on? GB News, Fox News, Instagram, Facebook, they're all designed to keep your eyeballs right where they want them. On them. That's why things like clickbait are so effective. But not all of us are adrenaline junkies jumping out of planes or chasing tornadoes like in America. No, I'm serious. Google it. But some of us, completely by accident, are very susceptible to addiction. Now, I'm not saying there's a ton of people who are addicted to the feeling of fear. No, what I'm saying is they're addicted to the feeling of adrenaline. The point is, feeling fear makes us feel alive. And that feeling of fight or flight is the exact thing that triggers adrenaline, which is obviously what we used to feel when we used to hunt tigers or run from woolly mammoths or any of the above. It's something that human beings have learnt isn't always a bad thing if it brings good results. So you can understand from an evolutionary point of view why it's a good thing to feel fear, but do it anyway. So what do we think happens to an entire society that is constantly exposed to video content that's made to make them feel fear? The world becomes utterly terrifying. So what happens? Well, we default to our safest settings, to the worlds that we can control. We stop going outside, we stop trying new things, and we try and keep our worlds as small as possible. We get lonely, we get angry, we get bitter. And fear makes us look for somebody to blame. And it doesn't have to be right, it just has to make us feel right. That's how people become phobic, or at least end up being labelled as phobic. They're afraid of things they don't understand. I have sphexphobia. That's a fear of wasps, for anyone wondering. I saw a wasp sting a childhood friend of mine when I was very, very young, and ever since then, I'm utterly terrified of them. I remember once working at a wedding, and I was holding a tray of champagne, and these wasps wouldn't leave me alone. They kept dive-bombing me until they were like around my head, trying to go in my eyes and my ears, and I ended up dropping the tray. And all the champagne went everywhere. And I broke the glasses. Don't think they're particularly happy about that. Now, I've never been stung by a wasp or a bee or anything really, but seeing that friend's reaction when I was a little kid now gives me a disproportionate reaction to those things. When in reality, it probably would have been helpful for me just to be stung, so I know how afraid I should be of them. Or maybe it does hurt bad enough that it's like being shot. I also have a fear of AK-47s or falling off a crane at 200 feet. Could be reasonable. The point I'm trying to make is that we're all shaped by our experiences from a young age. And since the 2008 financial crisis, we have all been getting poorer. And for 20 years, we've had one group to blame: immigrants. Now that's a lot of years of formative experiences to be drowned in the rhetoric that immigrants are to blame. Xenophobia, or put more basically, a fear of people that don't look like you, must be as old as time itself. Back when rival tribes would kill each other and then take each other's women as slaves, it really did pay to not like those who didn't look like you, or certainly at least be suspicious of them. Fearing people who don't look like you is a deeply held, unshakable fear. There was a reason that the Nazis put stars on the Jews' arms. It's much easier to hate people when they are visibly different to you. And it's much easier to understand that than the truth. That governments for decades have been printing money and devaluing the currency. Globalisation is then taking manufacturing jobs overseas, allowing us still to have products cheaply, but then removing those jobs from this economy. This while simultaneously stalling wage growth and then not building houses in this country, meaning that you then have a wage stagnation and a house price increase that then makes everybody feel poorer generation after generation. This then creates a huge amount of inequality between those who actually have houses and stuff and those that have no chance of ever getting anything. People are angry, people are scared, and people are constantly being fed lies about the reason this country is in the state that it's in. I've heard friends who I know are kind and intelligent people recently saying that immigrants are the reason we're in the state we're in. And not because they're racist, but because they've heard it enough times unchallenged that eventually you just start to believe it. Fear brings out the worst in people. Some of us can just stand the supposed threat as it flies around our heads while trying to work, while others, they start swinging. I just want everyone to please recognise that you're being manipulated because of the failings of Britain's political and ruling class. That people who make this country legally their home are no threat to you. And are there teething problems with multiculturalism in this country? Of course. There's always going to be. But with every generation, people change. Cultures become westernised. Your values become their values. If you want someone to blame, blame Thatcher, blame Blair, blame Boris, blame Farage, and now blame Reeves and Starmer for continuing the Treasury orthodoxy that's got us into this state of managed decline. And for those of you older people who may be watching this video, just remember that those people that don't speak like you or look like you are most likely the people that you're going to need to take care of you in your older years. And I tell you what, the bill for that is going to shock you when it comes. Some wasps just turn out to be flies. Let it buzz harmlessly around your head. Don't swing at it just because you don't like things that buzz. It's your own fears that make you feel like strangers in your own country. Thank you for watching, and take care.